Hey, and welcome to 20 Minutes Self Development with me, your host, Tam Dillon. This podcast is all about focused, effective self development, specifically for healing practitioners, space holders, and intuitives who want to do the work behind the work. In each episode, I'll introduce you to a key concept, reflection, or tool that's designed to strengthen your inner capacity and support the integrity of your practice. In just 20 minutes, we'll go beyond surface level growth and into the real work that makes you a stronger, steadier, and more embodied practitioner. Let's get into today's episode. Hey, and welcome to 20 Minutes Self-Development with me, your host, Tam Dillon. So 2024 was a horrible year for me. Okay, like for real. 2024 was a lot of hard lessons, a lot of upheavals. Like the ancestors really like went to school with me. Like they were teaching me like hardcore. They really did challenge me. But at the same time, I was working with a really great therapist. And in the throes of dealing with a lot of the upheavals that were kind of being thrown my way, she was like, go away, go take a time out, go away from the suffering, like take a break. And so I did. I went for a simple weekend away. Thankfully, where I am, I'm surrounded by a lot of beautiful nature. I had to drive like 45 minutes, and I was immersed in the solitude and quietude of nature. And in that quietness, and in the solitude, I just sat in stillness. I just stopped, didn't think. And just kind of allowed the world to just be, and allowed myself to just be, just grounding, connecting, allowing myself to just be open, and take the time and the space as it needed to. And in that space, they would not tell me if they were a spirit guide, if they were an ancestor, if it was an ancestor of mine, if it was someone that's actually like alive and well and just, doing some remote viewing. They refused to tell me, because they were like, that doesn't matter. You need to just be quiet and just listen. Just listen and pay attention and watch. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And so I did. And I'm surrounded by nature. I'm surrounded by a lot of trees. And the nature is exquisite. It's midsummer, so everything is green and it's lush. The cicadas are loud. Like life is very vibrant. Nature is very vibrant. And they point a tree out to me. It's a fairly young sapling that has grown maybe 4 inches up off the ground, and it's bent. For the rest of it is grown parallel to the ground, and coming off of that is these super strong, sturdy offshoots, new growth that has come from this bent over sapling, and they tell me to notice how the tree is bending, how the tree has been bent from enduring severe storm, enduring severe conditions, and told me to look at how the new growth is growing up right from the bend. And they then shared with me that sometimes in life you need to bend or you'll break. It's knowing when to stand sturdy in the storm and when to bend so that growth can continue. And from there, they moved to the conversation of endurance. The ancestors, the universe, spirit guides, totem animals, all of these beautiful energies have had have shared some amazingly beautiful wisdom with me over the years. But I've got to say that the endurance conversation is one of the more powerful and more impactful conversations and teaching moments that I've had with whatever this energy was. They spoke to me in a kind of a mix of like showing me visuals and hearing them, and they showed me ancient tribes, ancient ways, ancient cultures, and how like we're talking like way before the time of shoes, and how in these ancient times these people would walk barefoot for thousands and thousands of miles. The soles of the feet were toughened through walking, and it wasn't to make the whole foot hard, but it was to protect the soft skin on the inside. The toughness was what allowed them to keep walking without tearing themselves apart. And then they shared with me that as a medicine person, I've got to learn to build that same type of endurance, build it into my being. The way the soles of the feet build toughness, the endurance protects the gentleness, it protects the compassion, the mercy. The toughness is what allows me as a medicine person to go the distance. The softness is what makes the distance worthwhile. The softness is why I'm walking the distance. The softness is the purpose for the distance. And like I said, it's one of those really deep, beautiful teaching moments from the other side that really has just stuck with me. Is one of the most impactful ones for me, and it's something I really want to explore with you today, because endurance, not as hardness or shutting down sensitivity, endurance as a container that protects your sensitivity so that it can be sustainable. Because when we think about endurance, we often imagine pushing through at all costs, kind of a stoic grit that ignores pain or emotion, going the distance. But the teaching I was given wasn't about ignoring or numbing or avoiding or pretending like it's not there. It was about creating the right kind of resilience so that sensitivity isn't destroyed by the storms of life. The soles of the feet toughen so that the tender skin on the inside can remain intact. Our own endurance as medicine people it's meant to work the same way. As healers, teachers, guides, many of us have a deep sensitivity to the world. Like that is probably the one thing that most of us talk about, is how damn sensitive we are. And we're like, oh my God, this sucks, this is hard, this is what makes everything difficult. So like sensitivity is a core part of us. We feel the emotions of others, we sense the undercurrents in spaces, we're attuned to subtle shifts in energy. This sensitivity it's our greatest gift, but it's also like our biggest burden, because we don't have endurance that goes with it. Because without endurance to hold it, sensitivity is going to overwhelm us. It's going to feel like too much. It's going to feel like, oh, I can't do this. I don't want to plug in. I don't want to be part of it. It can leave us feeling drained, brittle, unable to continue to work, and it can leave us feeling like begrudging towards our work, like we don't want to do our work anymore. It can really make us start to feel that way because it's too much, and it's because we lack that endurance. So how do we build that type of endurance? Well, the first step is recognizing that endurance is not the opposite of sensitivity. Like, sensitivity and endurance aren't like, opposite ends of a spectrum. It's the guardian of sensitivity. It's what keeps your sensitivity safe. It's what allows us to keep showing up without losing our softness. Just like the tree that I was shown, bent by the storms, but still sprouting new growth. Endurance allows us to carry on with life intact. One way to build endurance is through discipline. Discipline is something that I see many spiritual practitioners struggle with. And yet so many spiritual traditions teach discipline. I find the contradiction quite bothersome. I really do. Because a discipline is imperative to being a practitioner, being a medicine person. Discipline is a core foundational skill of what you need. And you absolutely need discipline to build things like endurance. If you want to cultivate your adaptability or build up your resilience, you're going to need discipline. And there's plenty knowledge and wisdom from multiple traditions that can help you with discipline. And of course, you can always come and chat to Tam, and Tam can help you with the discipline. When we talk about discipline, it's not about rigid control. It's about consistent practice that's gonna strengthen over time. Think about your own spiritual or self-care practices. Maybe it's daily meditation, maybe it's movement like yoga, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's time in nature. The act of showing up for those practices again and again builds in a foundation. It's like walking barefoot mile after mile. You may not notice the toughening of the soles day by day, but over time the endurance builds. What you do notice, however, is the discomfort that comes from building endurance. When you're fresh on your soft little pair of feet and you're starting that first mile, by the end of it, the soles of your feet are like crying. They're like, what are you doing? And you're like, cool, we got another couple of 1,000 miles to go. And they're like, no, this is hard, it hurts, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's bleeding me dry. Much the same as the path of walking as a medicine person, as a healer, a guide, and a teacher. It's much the same thing. But as we walk, we build endurance, and we build endurance by continuing to walk. And so we build up that endurance. So we can't just step out on a fresh pair of feet and expect the endurance to just be there and expect ourselves to just comfortably walk thousands of miles. We've got to acknowledge that those first maybe 100 of miles are going to be painful or uncomfortable or disorientating or destabilizing. But we build the endurance as we walk. We toughen ourselves as we walk, and we're toughening not to become harsh or cold or calloused. We're doing it so that we can protect the softness that is on the inside, so that the softness can continue, because the softness needs to keep walking those miles. It needs to keep walking the path. Another way is by knowing when to bend. Endurance isn't about standing stiff or unyielding no matter what. Yes, hold firm and fast to your beliefs and who you are and your authenticity. But in certain aspects of life, we do need to know where it is to bend. It's about recognizing the storm, leaning into it, and trusting that you'll stand upright again when it passes, whether that be through new growth or, you just switch yourself back up and, you just keep growing straight upright and you don't need that other growth to come up. It's all in how you navigate the storms. And sometimes this looks like stepping back from work for a few days. Sometimes it really is just as simple as that. That's you bending, bending down to take a nap. Okay, you understand the analogy. Sometimes we need to bend, so that we don't break. Sometimes we need to take that time off. Sometimes we need to go and take that nap. Sometimes we need to switch off the news. Sometimes it means saying no to requests that would stretch you too thin or drain you of what little bit of resource you have left. Sometimes it's as simple as giving yourself permission to rest. Like I say, it really is that simple. The bend is what prevents the break. There's also an emotional layer here. Endurance comes from learning how to hold discomfort without running from it. And this doesn't mean we wallow in pain or negativity. Be like, this is my home now, life is this darkness. It's that we allow ourselves to acknowledge what's difficult, breathe through it, use the skills that are at our disposal. And in doing so, we discover that we can survive the hard moments without collapsing. We can build trust in our own strength. Like this is trust building with the self, building things like endurance, resilience, adaptability. You build trust in yourself because you're like, oh, my feet are, hard as pair of shoes that can walk me thousands of miles. You feel confident, you feel strong in yourself because your feet are tough. So these things build trust within yourself. You then begin to trust your tough, endurance built feet that they can carry you thousands of miles. So you can see how you're starting to stack on some really great, beautiful layers for yourself by doing this type of work. And then there's community. Endurance is not built in isolation. We are not islands, okay, living off by ourselves. Nothing is in isolation. Just as our ancestors walked long roads together, often in groups, we too, we need companions on this path, sharing our struggles, leaning on one another for support, and allowing ourselves to be held in return. This strengthens our capacity to endure, because sometimes we maybe have walked further than we should have, and so we need some of our community to pick us up and maybe carry us for the next mile, and that's okay, because you allow your feet the time to rest, restore, and recover, build more endurance, and you can carry on walking. For practitioners, endurance becomes the key difference between burning out after a few years and being able to sustain this work for a lifetime. Your clients don't just need our sensitivity, they need our stability. They need to know that when they bring their heaviest stories, we're not going to shudder under the weight of it. Endurance is what allows us to keep that safe container. And this doesn't mean becoming hardened or indifferent, or unemotional or uncaring. Remember the teaching. The soles of the feet toughen to protect the softness inside. The point is never to lose the softness, the compassion, the mercy, the tenderness. The point is to protect it, to make it sustainable. When you think about your own life, where are you being asked to bend, rather than break? Where do you need to lean with the storm so that you can keep growing upright afterwards? And where are you being called to toughen your endurance so that your sensitivity can stay safe and alive? I want to invite you to really I really want to invite you to reflect on those questions, and to consider, what practices in your life are going to help you strengthen your endurance. Maybe it's committing to daily practice, something as simple as that. Maybe it's saying no where you would usually say yes. Maybe it's reaching out to a trusted friend or a mentor in a time of need instead of shutting down. Endurance is built step by step, mile by mile, choice by choice, the ancestor or whoever they were that came and shared their really, really great wisdom with me last year, that teaching showed me endurance as the unseen layer beneath all our sensitivity, or rather the unseen layer that encases our sensitivity. It truly is what makes it possible to carry the gift of sensitivity without it destroying us, because I know what it's like to carry that level of sensitivity and it feel like such an intense burden where you're just like, man, I want to put this down. Like, I don't want to carry this. Like, this feels like a horrible responsibility. Like, why would I want to do this to myself? But when we couple that sensitivity with endurance, oh man, the path is amazing. The path really is quite the profound path to walk. It truly is. And it's what ensures that we can keep offering our gifts to others year after year, month after month. It's what's going to help us avoid things like burnout and fatigue and exhaustion and resentment towards our work, because it happens. When we go too far and we're like, I don't want to do my work anymore. So let's not think of endurance as becoming hard or cold or callous. Let's see it as building the strong souls that protect our soft hearts so that we can keep walking this path, because the world doesn't just need our sensitivity. It needs our sensitivity protected by endurance. It needs us to last. It needs us to be sustainable. And if you really feel that endurance is something that you want to strengthen, this is absolutely a big part of the work that I do in my mentoring sessions. Together we can absolutely explore how to cultivate endurance in your own practice. How you can protect your own sensitivity without feeling like you need to shut down or like it's too much. I can absolutely help to show you how to ensure that you can walk this path, not just for the next couple of months or the next 2 years, but for the long haul.
Thanks for joining me for this week's episode of 20-Minute Self-Development. If today's reflections were helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll explore another tool or principle to support you in doing your own work as a healing practitioner. If you're looking for deeper support, my practitioner mentoring sessions are designed to help you refine your presence, integrate your self-work, and build a practice that's both ethical and sustainable. You can also visit the Tam Dillon Academy to explore all current programs and resources built specifically for space holders like you. Until next time, keep showing up for your own work, and remember, real growth is built on consistency, integrity, and self-responsibility.